And we are all set.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Madison Public Schools Board of Education meeting to order at 7:35. Could we please all rise and stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Thank you. Well, as we normally do, we'll open with public participation. That's item number 2 on our agenda tonight. And before we start, I'd like to say that we in the board welcome public comment at our meetings. When speaking, please state your name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes in order to ensure that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak. Please speak on one topic per comment session. And please do not identify individual staff members or students by name. The board is really happy to hear from you, but at a business meeting, it can't be expected that we will respond to individual question and answer kind of interactions. If necessary, if you do have a question, we will follow up later. And if you'd like to have your comments read, please add them to the chat where Zoe Roos will read them for you. So do we have any members of the public who would wish to speak at this time? And Zoe, I will rely on you because I can't see the Q&As.
Sure. All right, we have one hand. If you just give me a moment, I'll promote her over. All right, Gina, if you unmute yourself, you're free to speak.
Wow. Hi, can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Hi. I don't have comments so much as I just wanted to say hello. I know I've been emailing a lot of you lately about the unmasking of our kids. I just wanted to say thank you for communicating with me and just wondering where we're at with that. I know we're still waiting from the CDC guidance. I know there are districts who are declaring that they will be mask optional in the fall. I think Simsbury just announced. So I'm just wondering where we're at with that. That's my main reason for being here, and I thank you all. And that's it. Hello.
Okay. Thank you so much, Gina. We'll cover a little bit of this later on in the superintendent's report, and we'll address it more fully in the July 6th meeting. Do we have any other questions, comments? I'll give it a few seconds. I don't see any
other hand. One more hand, one moment.
Oh, great.
All right, Natasha, if you unmute, you're free to speak.
Hi, good evening. Can y'all hear me?
Yep. Hi, Natasha.
Excellent. Hi, how are y'all? It asked me to join as a panelist and I was like, oh no, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. I just kind of wanted to follow up with what Gina said. I know I emailed as well and I got a really nice response. Like I was very glad that the person that I emailed took the time to respond to me. And I know that y'all are waiting on guidance. And I just kind of wanted to follow up on that as well. Oh, my name is Natasha Mills. I live in Madison. My address is 100 Deepwood Drive. I have 2 kids in Madison Public Schools. I know that y'all had to open up or draft your reopening plan, and it did include the mask mandate again for the kids in the fall. And I guess I'm just kind of hoping that you will, I'm not sure. I know you wait for CDC and then the governor and then DPH and everything else, but I am curious, and I know that you said that you would discuss later on in the meeting if the board is kind of advocating for parents to allow their children the choice of whether or not to wear a mask, you know, with all the studies that are coming out now and the effectiveness of the mask itself, the low transmission rate of children. And so I guess that was pretty much it. And I know that the July 6th meeting will touch on that, which I'm hoping to attend as well. I think, is it a limited attendance for the July 6th meeting? Okay, excellent.
Well,
all right.
Even though I'm not supposed to engage in back and forth,
Sorry.
just as a point of clarification, we're hoping to make the July 6th meeting a hybrid public / Zoom meeting. And if we do that, then we'll probably have some sort of system where you just sign up in advance so we can honor the space requirements indoors.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yeah, a little clarification, because I saw that it was kind of like a hybrid, so I was curious as to what that was. But yeah, I guess that's it. I just I'm hoping that y'all on the board will, you know, fight for us as parents and as our children, like just to have an option, I guess. Those, you know, I can't speak to everybody else's families and what's going on in your family. It should just definitely be a choice as to what each family is comfortable with. And I'm hoping that y'all can fight for us in that matter. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for letting me speak.
Great. Thank you, Natasha.
Have a nice day. Or I'm not leaving, but okay, hang on.
All right, Galen, I see one more hand. Just a moment, please.
Yep, thanks.
All right, if you go ahead and unmute yourself, you're free to speak.
Hi, yes. My name's Mary Guest. I am at 7 Lancashire Drive in Madison. I'm actually in New Hampshire right now on vacation with my family, but I took the time to come out and speak to you guys about the masking issue. I do understand there's a lot to be done still to come to a decision as to what we're going to do in the future. But my biggest concern is everything with the Board of Ed is remote. We're not allowed to discuss anything in the meetings with you guys as to the fact that you can't communicate with us in the meetings due to the rules and regulations, and I understand that. But I'm also getting limited responses in the emails that I also receive from you guys with my concerns of unmasking our children in the fall due to every bit of scientific data that states that the masks are not doing what it should do, and it's causing more harm to our children. And I may get a little emotional about it as my child is entering kindergarten, and I truly want to see this be undone for her, for all children in the future for them, unless numbers are rising and there is a reason to move forward with the masking. If there's not a reason to move forward with the masking, I hope and pray you guys look at the scientific data and move forward in a way not based on funding, not based on any other aspect but our children. And that is all I'm asking of you guys in the future. And during this summer, we've had much time to figure this out. Numbers are declining. People are getting vaccinated. Our children are not able to get vaccinated. And even when they are, we may choose not to. And that's our choice. And I hope these masks can be removed from them so they can have the correct education and the correct schooling that they deserve. And I am going to say enough at this point because I want to get back to my family vacation. but I wanted to take a second to take time to speak to you guys tonight, as I know decisions are going to start to be made. And I appreciate all the work you're doing, but I also would appreciate a little bit more communication with some of you guys at the same time. So thank you very much. And that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary. I'm sorry if we haven't gotten back to you as promptly, as regularly as you would like. We are considering this, and in terms of our meeting structure, just as an FYI, we are going to try to do a workshop, a public workshop model once a month in the future, where it won't be a business meeting, but it will be a presentation / question and answer meeting with the public. So in the future, I hope there's more opportunity for immediate feedback and communication. But thank you for taking the time during your vacation. I hope you have a really good one.
Thank you.
We have one more hand.
Okay.
All right, please unmute and you're free to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
My name is Kayla. I'm an occupational therapist in the community, and I also want to voice my concern for the children with the masks on. I have seen firsthand my daughter who started kindergarten this year, and we had extreme concerns to the point where now I'm actually worried she doesn't want to return back to school. She has voiced frustration. She is a smart, lovable little girl, did wonderful in school educationally. However, emotionally, I have serious concerns with her crying before going to school because of the masks, reporting she couldn't breathe in school because of the masks, crying because she could not look at her friends and smile. As an OT, this is devastating to me to see our children really not able to socially appropriately express themselves. There's so much to be said with a child's face, how they're feeling. I don't feel like her teacher could read her at all throughout the year. I love our teachers. I think they're amazing, but I think that without seeing their faces, unfortunately, the teacher missed a lot that was going on emotionally with our daughter. And we are extremely concerned with now our second child going to kindergarten and our third going to preschool, that we're going to be in a situation where we have 3 children that aren't happy in school, and we really don't know what to do. And seeing other states turn this mask mandate and make it optional makes us consider, are we living in the right area for our children's health and well-being? So I just really, really want to voice that this is a huge concern. And I just hope that we are being heard, because it's very, as a mom, it's been the most difficult position to be in, to try to guide her. So thank you for listening. And that's all.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kayla.
I see no additional hands at this time.
I see Stephen Rosea on the screen. Is he
I'll
lined
move
up
them
to
back
speak?
now.
That was Kayla.
That was Kayla. who
Oh,
just
I
spoke.
see. Thank
There's
you.
a different-
Right, thanks.
Kayla, in one moment, I have another hand.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Okay, please unmute and you're free to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes,
you.
thank you very much.
Super. Thank you. My name is Ashley Mattiota. I live on Beekman Place in Madison. I have 2 elementary age kiddos. I'm a product of Madison Public Schools, loved growing up here and moved away and came back here in part for the school system. Last year, we moved my oldest from MPS to private school locally due to the uncertainty of the reopening plan. And as we're looking at the year ahead and sort of reflecting at the events of last year, it's become increasingly more difficult to make the decision to re-enter Madison Public Schools. And it pains me because I loved my experience here growing up. Just looking at some of the events that have happened, like the kids outside at, during field day with masks on at extreme temperatures, hearing directly from educators in the town that they had concern over some of the situations where children were wearing masks in outdoor environments. It feels like there's just a lack of common sense applied sometimes. And I certainly don't doubt how challenging your roles are. I can't imagine during, this absolutely unprecedented time. But I would urge you to, really kind of take a look at leveraging some common sense and applying it to the school system. I would echo what the previous speaker said. For my family, we're at a place now where we're really sort of evaluating, is this the right place for us to be as a family in the school system? And is it somewhere that we want to continue to stay? And love everything about living here, but it's definitely becoming increasingly harder with the school situation. So my hope is that in the year ahead, we will be able to lighten the restrictions and allow the children to live as children and, not have the masks on and, not have such severity around some of the restrictions that they're dealing with that haven't impacted children. My youngest is in speech therapy privately, and she is, with other people unmasked every single day. And it was a speech issue that her preschool teacher didn't see because of her mask. And we found out a little later before we got her, into the appropriate services. But I think these types of issues are becoming increasingly challenging to digest how the public schools are dealing with them, and thinking about putting her in speech in public school, standing across the room from somebody versus where she is today, where there's literally somebody, right next to her mouth showing her how to do things. It just becomes very challenging. So I would certainly also ask you to, apply the wonderful common sense that I know you have as we're looking at the mandates for the upcoming year, and as we have some flexibility. My hope is that we'll have flexibility in each town and really giving individuals a choice as to what they're comfortable with and what parents are comfortable with for their children. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Yep. Well, thank you for contributing. Thank you very much. All right. Do we have any other questions or members of the public who would like to comment?
I don't see any other hands at this time.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to remind everybody that there's another opportunity after the superintendent's report and board member comments. So with that, we'll move ahead to Dr. Cook and his report.
Thank you, Chairman Kelly. So it was great to see our end of the year events. For me, my first graduation here was tremendous, beautiful weather. It was just a really nice event, and I was so thrilled we were able to open it up at the kind of last minute to 5 tickets per family, and there's other family members that attended outside the fence. So it was really a great event. Unfortunately, Polson didn't have the same weather, but I was so impressed with the Polson staff and Chairman Cowley as well, standing out in really torrential rainfall where it was coming in at all sides of the tent, and some staff stood out without umbrellas and just really weathered the storm. It was really great to see each student had their own kind of 30 seconds of fame as they walked up and received their promotional certificate. Also attended preschool promotion ceremony, and that was really cute as well. Families were really grateful. So some nice events at the end of the year, and some great things to see. Our summer work is already in full swing. Central office has been filled every day with teacher teams writing curriculum and working for getting ready for next year. So really impressive to see that work. And our high school staff have been analyzing data, and they worked 2 days last week in a school development plan. So our schools are in full swing working on their school development plans. I'm excited to share those with the board, as well as a district development plan in the fall. In terms of our agenda items tonight, we do have a need, as you'll see later on the agenda, for extension of 2 COVID-related policies that were originally anticipated to end on June 30th. As has been shared earlier tonight, and also as we've talked about with the board previously, we still do not have mask guidance from the state. We have pushed for this. We have asked on our Tuesday morning calls with the Department of Public Health. We have asked through the CSD, the Connecticut State Department of Education, repeatedly. We're hoping for that. We are in the same position as all 169 school districts in Connecticut, and anxiously await that. We have been told it may be as late as August. So I just wanted to share that with the board. That is the latest we have heard, even though neighbors in Massachusetts and New York have made their state determinations. And so we would ask, so we can comply with the mandate for summer school, that the board extend policies C-19-1 and C-19-4. The other 2 policies are able to sunset in June. So we're able to do that. Because as I said, we need to have our mask policy in place for special education summer school as required by the state. I do want to point out as well, while we're on that topic, our language in our reopening plan is, is, as I quote, the district will review and revise mask wearing policies as the state of Connecticut offers new guidance for schools. And so we're waiting for that guidance. As I said, I anticipate, this is my read on this, that we'll have 1 of 3 edicts down from the state. It could be mask mandatory, could be mask recommended to the districts, or could be mask optional. So I think that those are the 3 options. I don't know how helpful that is for me to share that with you, but I just want to share kind of what the board might be facing with the administration facing with decisions from the state. My thought at this time was that we would follow what the state's guidance is. We did all of this year, and I would anticipate, as I talked to superintendents across the state, no matter what their reopening plan is said, that's their intention as well. And as I mentioned, we have advocated to Connecticut State Department of Education and the governor's office to make a decision early. I'd encourage, as people have been utilizing the email address for reopening comments. So our reopening plan has been posted, and any families or citizens have any comments. I know we had about 15, I think last time we checked. All of those have been answered pretty expediently by our office, and so we'd encourage people to continue to utilize that for answers on the reopening plan as much as we have at that point. We also on our agenda tonight, we just wanted to share with the full board. We had shared it with the communication committee, a new logo that we were considering for the district level. So not the school level, but the district level. And I'd ask Zoe to share that with the public and the board. I know the board received a copy in their packet, but I wanted to share that with the public, and thank Rita Boland and Zoe Roos for their work on the logo. As you can see, we tried to incorporate the colors of Madison Public Schools, and also some themes from the town, such as nautical, and you can see the waves under the M. And then what we would also look to do as we brand our schools is also some consistent branding throughout the schools levels, with the use of a tiger or paw print at the school levels. So this would replace ultimately the blue MPS logo that is utilized on district level communications letterhead, business cards, things like that. The concern came up last time about or at the committee level, how much the cost could be in terms of changing over to a logo. That's often a concern for businesses or any district. And I do not view that as major. We would transition to this. We don't have a huge stock of paper, business cards, or things like that would require a major cost. I think we'd use what we have and then transition. And then also on the agenda tonight was consideration of Polson as a town shelter. We have been approached by the the exact name of the Madison Facilities Working Group, which is considering facilities throughout the town, and they approached the Facilities Committee to consider Polson as a location for a shelter. What that would mean in the immediate future is that we would look to have a generator installed that would power the entire building. We feel that Polson is a perfect site for that, being a former high school. It certainly has 2 gyms and some large spaces, shower facilities, a kitchen, and so a central location in town. So we feel that would be a good shelter. The school district certainly benefits from having a generator that would allow us, if there was a power outage, to safely exit students and maintain potentially the a school day for a little bit longer if there was a power outage. Its location next to hand would allow it to potentially house students from that location if we had a situation where power was out and we had to dismiss. So we feel that we would support this and want to engage in the town in discussions and funding and how that would work going forward. And certainly that would be a decision for the board or the Board of Finance or Board of Selectmen. And lastly, just again, we had the reopening plan on the agenda that is on the website. It has been submitted to the state as part of the ESSER grants. We work to keep it short and as direct as possible and user friendly. There's school addendums that do bring it to about 20 pages, but I feel it's in pretty direct language and waiting for, as we said, several pieces of guidance, most importantly the mask guidance, but we're waiting for several pieces of guidance from the state until we can finalize that. As all districts are doing, they're asking for community input. We received some community input on that, as well as ran some employee groups for input as well. And so we're pleased with where we are in terms of the decisions we can make, but waiting for some important ones. That is the end of my report, unless there's any questions on anything I shared there.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
It's regarding the extension of policy C19.4, the mask and face coverings, and you said that's specifically to extend for our summer school?
Yes. So what my intention would be is to extend that so we meet the requirement to have masks for summer school, and then when we make our final decision on school reopening, we would look to react to the state's guidance. So if the state mandated masks, that's going to be a state requirement that we would follow, and we would extend the policy based on that extension. Or if they made it optional, we would need to alter the policy. But this would allow us to continue forward, and I would suspect that we'll be talking about that at our August meeting.
So is there an end date for this particular policy? Like the other ones were supposed to end on June 30th. And so we're extending this one. So what is the end date for this particular extension?
I'd be comfortable to the end of August if we wanted to put an end date on that. I think that would give us at least the time for the August meeting if we needed to, or if we had to have another special meeting in August to address that. We were looking at indefinite, but I think if we wanted to put an end date at the end of August would be fine.
I think I would definitely be interested in putting an end date on that.
Absolutely.
This might be something to cover in the discussion when the motion's raised, but I do believe that the language offers releases for exemptions for either medical or disability related situations.
Yes, it does.
Yep.
The other thing we need to consider is the school calendar. So when does school officially open? So maybe August it may not be an arbitrary date in August. We may need to look at when students arrive. I don't remember what the policy set for the calendar.
No, the first day of school is August 30th.
Right.
Thank you.
So again, if you wanted to go to August 20th, that would cover the August 17th meeting. And we'd have to make a decision then.
So we could amend the language tonight to include that end date. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, I think. Are there any other comments or board discussion on the report? Oh, Happy. Oh, Craig, you do. Oh, Kathy. Go ahead, Kathy.
Thank you. Yes, I was wondering, would the mask would we be able to add some mask language around when teachers are working together in a building, or is there anything around that? I know as an educator, I've been working with my colleagues, like you were talking about earlier, Craig, about writing, or Galen, writing curriculum and working together throughout the summer. And, the buildings do get hot, and I'm not sure if they're in there or not, but if they have to wear their masks, should there be some language around that so that there will be a little bit more freedom when children aren't around?
Yeah, so we have done that through communication with staff. So we followed the town's guidance on that. So the town of Madison had first gone to mask optional within the workplace, and we're in the same building, and so we followed that guidance as well. So teachers here are mask optional, during the summer. So that's up to them. We're following that CDC guidance for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
According to the language of this policy, though, it doesn't say that it's optional for teachers. It says students, staff, and all individuals inside the school building are required to wear mask face covering. So I think we would have to alter the wording of that if that is the case. Mr. Policy Man, Greg?
That is true.
There
Do
is
we
a
have it mimic what the CDC guidance is, that vaccinated individuals have the option?
There's a policy meeting coming up. I think it's in July.
Yeah, but I think extended school year starts soon before the policy meeting. So we would need a policy in place.
Yeah. It will also automatically sunset on June 30th if we take no action. So we need to do something.
And teachers are working in schools now.
So our intention, though, is for teachers in summer school to wear masks. So if they're working with students, we would wear masks. If they're working in the central office, they are not they're not required to wear masks.
As long as they're vaccinated, correct?
Yep.
But the policy, and I think we could talk about this now because it was raised in the report, so we can just let it flow. But the policy, I think, doesn't make that clear. So can I suggest that we do two things, that we, rather than make a motion to extend the policy when we get to that point, maybe make a motion to modify both policies, and modify both policies so that these two policies are extended through August 20th, and that these policies allow an exception for vaccinated individuals not working with children. And then there's going to need to be some rewriting of the policies that I think can just happen offline, because, Craig, it also mentions in here that these things apply to all the COVID policies. And you might want to make it clear that only these, even in the policy that only these two are being extended. The language is a little strange if we're just extending two, and that could be easily modified.
Yes.
The other thing I just wanted to raise is a different topic, so I didn't know if there was more on this one.
I just want to know
Kathy,
when
why
does the extended school year begin?
Gail, do you have a date on that?
Yeah, that's July 6th. And I can also add to the conversation that the first policy for healthy schools, or that safe schools one, C19.1.1 is advised by Shipman and Goodwin to be extended throughout the school year next year. If that's helpful.
All right. Kathy, did you have a follow-up?
No, I think it sounds like
Okay.
we're on it.
Okay. Thank you. Greg, are you okay with?
I just have one other thing. I just wanted to clarify something.
Yeah, please.
It's really weird to look at each other like that and like this. I just wanted to clarify, since just so that it's on the record in case there are any questions, because I don't think it came up unless I missed it. The new logo, which is amazing, is meant to be complementary and use alongside the sports logo, the paw. And so the paw would be used for sports logo purposes, and the other logo would be used for non-sports school purposes. Is that correct?
Sports, and hopefully I'm getting to what Diane is shaking her head at.
Sorry, Diane.
And other extracurricular activities, so such as music and drama and other clubs and activities that use the logo.
And an orchestra definitely use the PAW logo. It's not just sports.
As someone who is much better at music than sports, I apologize.
Well, it's an opportune time to say that we're proud of all our students, orchestra, academic students, but we'd be remiss if we didn't congratulate the high school for the state baseball championship, the golf championship, a runner-up in lacrosse. I'm probably missing a few, but
girls tennis. Girls
tennis. Thank you very much. Girls tennis. So they're sometimes the most visible achievers in our community, but just want to recognize them.
And the band and orchestra did a great job at graduation.
I was just going to say that, Diane. It was so nice to have live music again in a group, and they did a great job. It made it very festive and regal, and they were amazing.
And Vibe song.
Vibe was so good. I mean, it was, everything about it was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
The bees even made it. It pollinated the love.
They were black and gold, Kathy.
That's what I said to my kids. I'm like, look at them. They're dressed for the day. Black and gold.
I have one quick thing about the logo. I really like it, but I was wondering, and this was a suggestion from my daughter actually, that the gold rope on the outside, if maybe there was a black line around it to sort of set it off, because it sort of like fades. Just an idea, just thinking. I'd love to have the paw in there though.
As long as we're on the subject of the logo, and I know that Rita is on the line, and I want to thank her for her hard work on it. So I know that Ryerson uses kind of a green logo now, and Jeffrey kind of has a blue logo. Will those also change to black and gold? Ish.
I mean, my personal thought would be that as we transition to fewer schools, that we would make those transitions. Yeah, I think that using the colors throughout.
They will just have to change the one word in the Ryerson song.
Oh.
Have you heard the Ryerson song? I'm not going to sing it for you.
Oh,
but
I was going to ask you to sing it.
But
I
they
can say
actually
it if
say
anybody
in it,
wants it to.
they
Can I
say
get a
blue
mo-
and gold in it.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to have Diane sing the Rare
So
song?
moved.
So,
Second.
second.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'll say
I
All
don't
right.
actually know it, but I bet you could ask
All right.
Mrs. Spooner to sing it for you. I know she
Oh.
knows it.
She would
Okay.
do it. All right. All right. Well, it's hard to top that. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Are we on board member comments?
We still are, yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to thank everybody involved for all. I had 2 graduates this year, an 8th grader and a senior at the high school. And it was no small feat to make either of those happen. So I just wanted to thank everybody involved, especially Polson that had to kind of turn on a dime to make that festive and special for those 8th graders. And I can tell you from my 8th grader, it really was special. And it was nice to see all the 8th graders gather on the green after for what might be a new tradition to take pictures en masse. So that was really a special, maybe new tradition. And then I also would be remiss if I did not throw a shout out to the community for all of their efforts for Night in Hand this year. It was different for sure, but it was a great success and was capped off by the baseball team's bus arriving to at the end of a live band concert and having all the kids meet the bus and greet the championship baseball team. It was really a special night, and it was all run by parent volunteers and community donors. And so I just have to thank everybody that was involved. It really does take a village, and everybody thoroughly enjoyed themselves. And I know that there will be elements of this year's abbreviated Night in Hand that will carry on in future Night in Hands because the kids really had a wonderful time. So thank you to everybody who donated and was involved and gave their time. It was very special and the kids appreciated it.
All right. All right. Do we have one more, Diane?
I'm sorry, not to end on this, but I did want to make a statement regarding the discussion over the mask policy. And I did want to let the public know that we hear you. We know what you're saying. We get your emails and we are listening. And on a personal level, I am a big supporter of the no mask policy. So I'm just putting that out there. But I also want it to be understood that, you know, when this comes from the governor's office and his mandates are what we have to follow, and we can disagree with it, but we still have to do it. So when we say we're waiting for guidance from the state, we are literally waiting for guidance from the state. And I strongly suggest and recommend and ask you to call and email the State Department of Education to let them know what you're thinking, and Governor Lamont's office, and let him know what you want. Because I think that, you know, the more pressure you can put on the governor's office and the State Department of Education, that's where the mandates are coming from that we have to follow. And so I would just urge you to do that. That's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, well, are there any members of the public who would like to respond to the information that we've presented?
I have one hand. One moment, please.
Oh, okay, yep, thanks so.
Oh, oops. Hi, can you hear me? And apparently I turned on my camera. It's me again. Sorry, y'all.
Hi, Natasha.
Hi. Okay. I know you're not supposed to clarify, and I understand that. And I apologize if I put you in a position that you weren't supposed to be in with, you know, answering my questions or anything like that. But I had a couple of questions. I'm curious, and I'm new to the state of Connecticut, so I'm not really sure exactly how it works, but from my understanding, there have been other towns that have made the mask optional. So I guess I'm curious as to why other towns such as like Broughton and Newton and Simsbury, and I might be mispronouncing those, are moving forward with what seems to be a mask optional for next year. But Madison seems to be waiting for Governor Lamont. So I guess I want to know why it is that certain towns are putting forth their own guidance, and then our town, for example, is waiting on guidance from Governor Lamont. And believe me, Diane, I have emailed and called, and they will get tired of hearing from me, and so will y'all. And I try to do this like with as much like respect and love and kindness as possible, because I feel like that's the only way, to get through. But I guess I just wanted a little clarification on that, if you're allowed to do that. And then my other question was, I was a little bit confused. I know that y'all are in summer school, but you were talking about extending something into June 30th regarding the mask. So I guess I'm curious as to like why y'all are deciding on a date, or if it's up to you to make the end date, or if it's actually up to the state. I guess I was just a little confused on the extension date thing. And I know that you can't answer my question. Maybe I'll follow up with an email or something.
Right. Thank you.
But yeah, all those things. Thank you.
No, those are excellent questions, and we'll have to get back to you on that. So
I know.
we don't misspeak, but I'm so
Yeah.
glad you brought them up.
Okay, it's just something that I noticed, I guess. I'm like listening, and I'm like, wait, something doesn't seem right here. Why are they talking about an end date when we're waiting on guidance? So I guess which one is it? I'm just trying to figure it out. And again, thank you. And I promise you won't hear from me again, maybe. I don't know.
Until tomorrow, that's fine. Yeah.
Maybe later.
All right. Thanks,
Bye.
Natasha. Well, thank you. Zoe, do we have any
Gail,
others?
Sorry, I have one more.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome to unmute and you can speak.
Okay. Hi, my name is Kathy Adjemi, and I live at 123 Hunters Trail in Madison. And I just wanted to ask, Diane mentioned calling the governor's office, and I thought she said emailing or calling someone else. And I was wondering if you could repeat that for me.
The State Department of Education.
The
State Department of Education of Connecticut.
Great, thank you so much.
All right, well, wait a minute. And so you can give me the green light or the red light, depending.
I see no additional hands.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your comments and questions. We do not have a Board of Selectmen report tonight, so we can move right to the consent agenda. And these concern line item transfers. As of June 18th, 2021, the transfers are listed in your packet. And we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Great, thank you, Greg. Do I have a second? Thank you, Diane. Is there any discussion on the packet? Hearing none. Oh, yes.
What does DUA stand for under source?
Well, this is where if Stacy is still on the call, I might call on her. It looks to me like this is also a new type of printout. Stacy, if you're there, can I put you on the spot? If not, we'll follow up. I'll get an answer for you later, Violet.
Didn't mean to put anyone on the spot, sorry.
UA is just a accounting munis lingo that means a budget transfer, that's all.
Yeah. And this is the new munis system, I think like the first or second time we've seen it, right?
It's been around for a little while, Galen, but yeah, this is just they're all BUAs, they're just line item transfers between accounts, so.
Stacy, we can barely hear you.
Okay, thanks, Stacy.
Actually, Stacy, I have one quick question, if you don't mind. So when we used to get the printouts, they used to be like right in a row, like what it was transferring to. You could see like the numbers matched up, and these are sort of like all over the place. Like, I don't know if anyone else does, but I like to do the math, but I was just wondering why it changed, like why it's not as easy to read as it used to be.
Yeah, Diane, I hope you can hear me now. I'm a little closer to my laptop, but this is just a year-end transfers where we're pretty much finding balances in different accounts to cover deficits in other accounts. So it's not an increase, decrease on specific accounts. We're just kind of moving funds around to make sure that we have no deficits in any specific line items.
Okay, thanks, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Is there any additional discussion concerning the consent agenda? All right, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. And any opposed? And motion carries, and abstentions? No abstentions. Motion carries 6-0. All right, we have a very light committee report today. And I'll just run through, even if you haven't met, just to make sure I don't miss anybody. Diane, is there anything to report from curriculum?
No, we have not met, but I think we're going to get an update on some scores just to the whole board, and we won't get a presentation again until the fall.
Okay, thank you. I know that the communications committee has not met since the 8th, so that, we'll move to facilities, where Emily is away, but I think Katie has got the goods.
I do, Galen, live from Cape Cod. The facilities committee met on June 14th. Bill McMinn presented the CIP draft plan for 22-23, assuming a successful referendum. The CIP is due by the end of July. The committee reviewed the projects in the CIP this year, many of which have been pushed back due to COVID. As per usual, $75,000 is budgeted for security across all schools. Daniel Hand High School is budgeted for $344,000 for stage lighting replacement. Polson has approximately $80,000 for doors and hardware. $227,000 for locker replacement and $96,000 for planning for ADA updates to all Polson bathrooms. Nothing proposed in the CIP for Brown School as of right now for 22-23. Athletics projects include design and planning work for the Polson baseball fields, improvement update for $94,000. The sum for this year's CIP budget that we are at this point proposing is $918,522. This is higher than years past due to deferred projects. Next year's CIP budget is over $4 million, so the committee spent much time discussing how we could better smooth out those costs and spikes over the years. There are some projects we can pull forward from future years to balance out the spikes and meet urgent needs. For example, we could do some advanced planning for the high school's HVAC design. Polson is the largest and oldest building, so one item to consider is the transformation of the auxiliary gym to a learning space. Brown School will also need parking expansion due to the increased student population that will hopefully be attending there. It might be more urgent than other items, as this expense is not included in the referendum, but parking will need to be expanded to meet the need of a larger school, and as well as the fact that it's a polling location. Mr. McMinn will look again at Brown and Polson to see what could be moved around to smooth out the budgets, and will report back to the committee at our next meeting. Bill McMinn also reported that work on the carports will begin soon, meaning this summer, and that there has been communication with people in town about increasing bike and pedestrian access to Brown. Finally, the Facilities Committee continues to meet and may reach out to the Board of Education to request formal representation on the committee of the Board of Ed. The Facilities Committee will meet next on July 6th. There was no public comment at this meeting, and we adjourned at 6:37. End of report.
Okay, thank you very much, Katie. And I don't think finance has met, in fact, so that's been rescheduled.
Yes, we have not rescheduled yet, but I will work with my committee to reschedule the meeting we had to cancel tonight.
Good, thank you. And then while I have you, I'll jump a little bit to go to the Learn liaison. Is there any news there?
So no report.
Okay, thank you. All right. Which brings us to personnel and Dr. McNerney. I don't believe we've met, but I'll let you verify.
Okay.
Great, thank you. And then ditto with policy. I know that we haven't met since our last Board of Ed meeting. Is there any further discussion on any of these committee reports or non-reports, as the case may be? Okay, thank you. Well, our next action item is a motion to approve disposal of used books and equipment.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Do I have a second? Thank you, Kathy. Is there any discussion on the topic?
So what are we disposing of specifically?
Well, I don't know that I can speak any more than generic terms. I don't know titles or specifics. I can look that up for you.
Just because it says, used books and equipment, it just is pretty vague.
So usually it's just damaged books or books that are out of print or no longer in circulation. Gail, you can probably correct me if I'm wrong, or Dr. Cook.
Yeah, typically on the books end, it's always books that are decommissioned for overuse and not usable anymore. Or people are cleaning out closets that haven't been cleaned out quite some time. I'm not sure, but typically there's some equipment from arts department that's no longer operational or repurposable. In terms of parts usage, we do use parts in his departments for repair, but the parts that cannot be used are typically part of this disposal.
And I ask this question every year, so I'm going to ask it again. We always look for other places before they're disposed of that we could potentially donate to, correct?
Yes, in terms of my end of things, yes. This is not a major disposal this board meeting. When we closed Island Avenue, we had quite a bit of resources and we looked very broadly for that. This one's pretty small because we did a fair amount of cleaning.
So the only reason that I ask is because in the past, when we had a similar item, except for it was furniture, and we got rid of a lot of furniture, and then we had COVID, and then we had need for these single-use desks and chairs, and I know that Bill McMinn had gone and found some that we were going to get rid of that could be utilized. So I just want to make sure, before we actually get rid of things, that there's really no use for it before we vote on it. And I really don't like, I guess, vague terms like equipment, because I'd like to know what I'm voting on.
Well, we have two options. We could table this motion, or we could vote on it and report after the fact.
Well, I would prefer to table it because I don't vote on things I don't know.
The motion maker would have to withdraw their motion. I don't remember who that was.
That was Katie.
I'm very comfortable, and I'm not about to go inspecting books, but I respect where Diana's coming from. And if that's what she needs, then that's what we'll do.
Well, okay. Is that tabling or not tabling? Sorry.
It would be withdrawing.
Okay, right, okay. We have to vote on withdrawing. We do not. Is there any?
You knew that, Galen.
All right. Is there any time sensitivity to disposing of these items? That's an open question.
No, I don't see that.
Okay.
If you want to separate the books from the equipment, we could vote on the books. I'm okay with that. It's the vague equipment that I am not okay with.
Okay, that would
Withdraw
be
the
helpful.
motion until the July meeting.
And just to go along with Diane's request, perhaps it's helpful to have those equipment itemized as in computer equipment or outdated, some other whatever equipment we have, or if it's furniture, we indicate furniture just so that we know exactly what equipment we're talking about. We talking gym equipment, computer equipment. So I see what you're saying, Diane. I do remember from past votes for disposing of used books, those have been pretty well explained to us and decommissioned, no longer operational books because they're not repairable. I do agree. I love the idea of donating, but I understand that one. But equipment may need to be clarified.
Okay, so why don't we, the motion's withdrawn, why don't we try to itemize the equipment and bring this up at our next meeting, July 6th. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Next up, now we're going to have to, next up is an action item to approve the extension of policy C-19.1, temporary policies and regulations related to COVID-19 pandemic. But at this point, we're going to have a discussion to amend the language. Go ahead, Greg.
I think if it's okay with everybody, I can just make the motion. Am I echoing off Galen or no? Okay.
No, you're good.
I can make the motion to approve the extension. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. I'm going to make the motion to amend policy C-19.1, temporary policies and regulations related to COVID-19 pandemic, and to specifically amend it to extend the motion through August 20th of 2021, and to amend the policy to clarify that vaccinated adults gathering without children may be an exception to the policy.
I think there was one other qualification that you mentioned.
The other part, it's just making sure that this is untethered from the other policies, but I think that's just technical adjustment.
Okay. All right. Do we
So
have
are we looking for a second now?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Violet.
And can I jump in to clarify, Galen, in the comments? I think the reason that we're doing this, if I'm correct, and I guess this is a question for Dr. Cook, is to make sure that we extend the policy that we adopted last year through the end of the August period, the day after we meet again, in the hopes that we will have more information from the state about the status of mask use. Is that correct?
Exactly, and it will cover us for extended school year programming.
I do. Right, so we want to make sure we're in compliance with the state, but I do have a question. So what happens if we get guidance from the state 2 weeks from now and they say, you don't need masks anymore? Then when and how do we change this? Would that be the July 6th meeting, for example?
I would say if we have guidance by July 6th, we would bring it to you for the July 6th meeting. I'm not anticipating that based on the latest I heard from the state, but we would be happy with that and happy to bring it to you on that date.
It's still on the table. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, let's put it to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So I have, just to make sure I have this correct, Violet, I didn't see if you voted yay, nay, or abstained. Thank you. All right, so I believe the motion carries 6-0. All right. Yes, please do, Greg.
I'm muted. I'm going to make another motion, is what I said.
Yeah.
Just to be fully transparent. So I'd like to make a motion to modify policy C19.4 mask/face coverings, and this modification would be the same as the modifications to the previous policy. It would be to extend the policy through August 20th of 2021 and to make an exception possible for vaccinated adults gathering in the district.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay. Thank you, Diane. Discussion?
So I just have a quick question. So if something comes up that, like we're saying that the state changes what they're saying, is there any way to include language that says if the state changes, then we change with them? Or is that too vague? So that we don't have to keep meeting and changing and.
We meet anyway.
We do, and I think, I mean, I agree with Dr. Cook. I don't see anything happening before August, mid-August even. So I think this covers us, but I mean, for sure, we can always have a special meeting if something changes and the board has the, desire to amend anything at any time. We can always call a special meeting. Just needs to be posted in the appropriate time frame.
And I think the presumption is that we have to be compliant with the state, and the state were to relax things, that would take precedence over our motions or policy.
Would the state changing supersede our policy?
No,
it wouldn't. Our policy would still stand. I just don't want it to be like, August 1st, the state says, okay, no more masks. And then we don't meet until August, whatever. And then these kids still have to wear masks.
But it says the school year doesn't go that long. How many weeks? It goes until when?
The end of July.
Yeah.
Really just the end of July. And my concern, Diane, would be if the state came out and said, it's dependent on each individual district to make a decision on masks, and that came out July 21st, we would be kind of stuck in the middle of summer school and not have the ability of a immediate board meeting. But you're right, the policy is going to supersede unless the policy becomes illegal. That's not this case, but if the state came out and said mask wearing in schools is illegal, then we would have to comply with that. But in this scenario, you're right. Our policy can be more restrictive.
Thank you.
It was a long time ago, but I just wanted to raise also, to echo what Katie is saying. I think we had discussed at the outset of these policies, possibly in policy committee at the time, the fact that we might, not on a moment's notice, but even within a few days' notice, have to call a special meeting to amend the policy if needed. So that could have happened during the previous school year, and we would have had to have taken some special action.
Excellent point. Thank you.
I just know if it was my child in school and that mask mandate changed, I would want it changed like that. So, that's my feeling as a parent, and I would support that as a board member. I just don't know how quickly, the wheels turn.
Policy
I think
right before Board of Ed meeting, so it would be swapped in a moment's notice.
right, public notice. Yeah.
And we all vote on it anyway.
Right.
And I think we only need 48 hours, unless I'm mistaken, to call a special meeting. And my guess would be that we'd be able to do that pretty quickly, and that the policy or the guidance from the state wouldn't be, 1 minute from now after they say it. But that's just my speculation.
And Diane, not to be controversial, and I totally respect your opinions that you've given tonight, but I think it's fair to say there are people that feel differently than you and feel safer having their kids in a school building. and want the science of the CDC and the Department of Public Health to be the ones doling out the evidence and the regulations. And so I think I'm happy that we're a district that is following suit and listening to that guidance, and not, you know, and really paying attention to that. So I think it's hard, but I think we just have to be patient and understand that things are constantly changing, and that we will, you know, work with the state and the town and our teachers and our students to make it as safe as we have been over the past 18 months. And I'm thrilled to say that, you know, I think we've, you know, gotten a really good system down in terms of being able to notify people and keeping kids safe. So, you know, I totally respect your point of view, but I think there are other points of view as well that we need to be considerate of.
All right, well, are there any further comments or discussions? Let's put it to a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the extension of policy C-19.4 mask coverage with the exemptions as noted by Greg. In favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the Polson Middle School as a town shelter?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right. I'll flip a coin on that. Thank you. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 6-0. Next on the list is a motion to approve the Finance Committee Chair to authorize the closeout of the 2021 school year directly with the Finance Director.
I don't, because we didn't meet tonight,
Mhm.
I don't think that motion is on the table.
Okay, so we can not
Unless,
have the motion.
wait, Stacy, is that correct? Am I right on that? Or do you need to be able to do that sooner than later?
Or it really is just so that you and I can discuss any line item transfers that will be done between now and the end of the year, and we can always bring it back to the Board of Ed later.
Okay,
We'd
okay,
like
thank
to
you.
be
I
able to
appreciate
move
that.
forward with you.
Thanks, Stacy. I appreciate the clarification. Sorry, Galen.
No, that's okay. I mean, you don't want to be liable or take out a third mortgage on your home, you know, if something's not right. So, all right. So do we have a motion to approve the Finance Committee Chair to authorize the closeout of the 2021 school year directly with the Finance Director?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Thank you, Violet. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Stacy, for the clarification. And is there any other discussion on this? All right, hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 8th, 2021 Board of Education meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Katie. Second. Kathy, thank you. Are there any mistakes, clarifications, omissions, discussions? Thank you, Diane.
So I'm not sure, but I think I sent an email. I just got to find my, hold on one second. There was I think something is just in the wrong spot. Under action item 11, about the motion to purchase the Jansen property, there's a note that says the floor is open for discussion. The board members voiced their concern regarding the wording of the motion, which was revised to read : and then there's nothing there. And I think that's actually meant to be under action item 13, where we were discussing the policy 9540.10 meeting conduct. Anyone?
Do
you know what I'm talking about?
I see it in the minutes. I do remember amending the wording.
It was, I'm trying to remember now. I had it out earlier. It had something to do with the meeting conduct about, I know it wasn't under Jansen property. I know that. It was under something else.
Diane, I believe, and it might be a little unclear because of the way it's written, but this is how I had read it, that the floor was open for discussion. Board members voiced their concern regarding the wording of the motion, which was revised to read, and then it's talking about the motion. Like if you keep going to the column on the right, which is weird if you're not.
I got it now. So yeah, we did. We added the word negotiate or something. Is that what?
That's
okay.
correct.
So
That's correct.
Right.
And I think regarding the action item 13 with the policy 9540.10, I think we added language to
Okay, as amended.
about email, about
Okay.
about functionality for chat. Great. Okay. Well, it's a useful discussion. Do we any further discussion on this? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Abstentions? Motion carries 6-0. Please feel free to submit any future agenda items. Our next meeting is July 6th. Meetings and dates of importance are listed in your packet. And then for anybody who's still with us, we are going to, well, we'll have a motion to enter into executive session. We'll go into executive session and then return to the public session with possible action items, and then to adjourn the meeting. So may I please have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the superintendent's contract and assistant superintendent's contract addendum.
So moved.
All right, thank you, Katie. Second. Thank you, Violet. Is there any discussion on this? All right, all in favor of entering into executive session? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Abstentions? None. Motion carries 6-0. So we will exit this Zoom meeting, go to another link for the executive session. Zoe will keep it open for us. And then once we're done with the executive session, we'll return to the public meeting. And we'll see you